Hey guys, Phobia again. And today, what I'm going to go over is some tips for solo shuffle, grinding, and also some builds for other fellow shadow priests out there. So we're going to have a little bit of both. Um, I want to start with just saying I've done a lot of solo shuffle. I'm at 2407 right now, kind of just grinding on the shadow priest. Been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. So just go ahead and take a seat, boys, and let's go ahead and go over a couple of things. All right. One big thing about solo shuffle I think y'all should know. Communicate mistakes on other teams. So let's say you're playing God comp on your team, right? You have a mage, and a healer, and you're fighting against Demon Hunter, DK healer, right? That's you're gonna be outmatched in that scenario. But let's say you see the DK isn't running spell warding, or the Demon Hunter isn't running Netherwalk, or something of that nature, right? When you guys win or lose a round and you're versing that person you have noticed, communicate that. That's a huge thing. Type it in the chat. Hey, the Demon Hunter doesn't have Nether Ward. Oh, he's not running Trinket. He doesn't have spell warding. And then you tell those people. And then they're like, okay. And then you tell them who to target. Okay. Number 2, targeting. Right there. Call who you want to go. Don't just stay silent and expect people to know who you're going and expect to win the round, unless you're a demon hunter. No offense, demon hunters, demon hunters, whoever. But yes, call who you want to go. Don't just expect people to know. It's solo shuffle. People are new. People are under geared. The MMR is crazy. I've been paired at 2,500 MMR. I've been paired with 900 CR players. I don't expect them to know what to do, and they're going to be under geared, most likely. So communicate. Huge. Again, don't just think it's going to happen. Say, go this target, go that target. See what they want, back and forth and ping pong. When you play with that next person again, because you get to play with the same people twice, be like, hey, let's go this person now. Oh, hey, I'm going to give you this. Or wait till I do this. Communicate who you're going to go and what you're going to do. That's huge, okay? 3, you have to play specs that are going to all in or survive. For instance, Shadow Priest. If I'm playing against a Demon Hunter and a DK, I'm not going to get a lot of damage out. Why is that? Sinful Brand, 30% reduced cast time. Spell Warding, reduced cast time. And then I have 2 melee with 2 kicks and 19 million interrupts. Like, so many stuns. I'm not going to get a lot of casting out. So what am I going to do? I'm going to play a spec that's going to keep me alive and be instant, right? And I'll go over what that is in a little bit for the Shadow Priest builds, all right? Those are the 3 biggest things I could tell you guys about solo shuffle, all right? Communicate what you're doing and what's wrong and who's doing what, who you guys want to target, and play builds based on what you're queuing into. Don't try to be a big damage one-shotter if you know you're going to be targeted and you won't be able to get that damage out. Play survivability specs. Okay. That being said, for Shadow Priest, let's go over a couple builds that I currently run for y'all. All right? Let's go ahead and play. So before you ask, I don't run 2 Covenants or this one-shot Shadow Death build that I will go over and I can tell you guys how to use it. But I don't use 2 Covenants and I don't use the Shadow builds. For instance, I either play Venthyr or Necro, right? And then I fill my tree up. See, Distant Echoes. I don't use Void Form. Doesn't help for me. Mind Devourer does only 5% now. And then Fester and Transfusion. These are my potencies I put in there. Don't use Fester and Transfusion, and I can't use Distant Echoes. I don't use them. All right. So that being said, I don't use my. Well, I don't think they show up here. Well, I don't use my actual Covenant spells either. That being said, if you're going to use Covenants, Necro or Night Fae are gonna be your best Covenants for Shadow Priest out there. It keeps you some more survival, more spread pressure, more dot damage. It's great. All right. Build wise, okay. So there's a couple builds you can run based on what you're queuing into. So let's go ahead and just swap over to my first one, which is the build that you guys saw on my guide, my 3v3 guide. This is great, a great build if you're playing with a warlock, a mage, where essentially double caster. You're gonna want to run this into a double caster comp. to keep pressure out there because they can target any one of you, right? This is the first build, so go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, I will copy each build in the description below with like a side piece like Dbl Caster, melee, triple DPS or whatever, or tank I should say. I'll put that down below. Okay, so from this build, let's say you're playing with a melee, but you're gonna be the train target. Okay, you're gonna get trained. If you're playing with a warrior, you're playing with a DK, you're playing with a demon hunter, I don't run Twins of the Sun Priestess against that because they're gonna go me. Unless obviously we're playing against a Dbl Caster, then that's different. But if I'm talking about like a melee cleave versus me, which is generally what you're gonna queue into, I generally drop Twins of the Sun Priestess for improved fade, right? And I dropped MD depending on the comp. If it's double melee, I generally don't need MD. Well, let me go back into that. All right. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is how I generally do it right here, right? I generally go down. I get my Void Shield just because I can try to run and do Catharsis to keep up my Void Shield. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but I don't go a separate tree for that, right? I don't go out of my way to get other things. I want to get improved Fade, and I want to have Translucent Image, so every time Fade comes up faster, I get a wall with it, and then I can try to shield myself for the sprint and try to keep my shield up a little bit longer from their dots or their hits. And again, it's not that much, but if you have a Catharsis, you can refill your shield really quickly. So I run Void Shield with that. And then on this side of the tree, I generally keep it the same, but a big thing to change based on what I'm queuing into is actually going to be mainly PvP talents. So against melee, I actually don't run precog. The games don't last long enough generally in Soul Shuffle, even at high rating, past like a minute. So what do I actually do? I run Void Volley and Void Eruption or Void Origins, or Void Volley and Siphene if I think I can get juke the kicks, depending on how many rounds there have been. I can tell how good they are at kicking. But let's say it's a really good team. This is what I'll run right here. And then I'll do an all-in. I'll tell my Demon Hunter, my Warrior, we're going this target. Let's all in them and get so much pressure that they're on the back end. So this is a big one I run against a double melee if they're going me. Okay? Now, if you're running against melee caster, then you're going to run the basic Siphene, Precog, Catharsis, try to juke a kick, and then do your all-in so you can't get CC'd. That's something I want you guys to learn very quickly, is that if you are on a timer versus, let's say you're fighting against a Warlock team, and you're a Shadow Priest, you're going to generally lose that matchup if it's melee Warlock, melee Shadow Priest, if the Warlock's good, right? So what do I normally do? I control the Warlock, and I go the healer in that situation. So if you're fighting Warlock teams, my tip to you guys is don't go the fucking Warlock. Go the healer. Because they're generally going to have a Demon Hunter or a DK or a Rogue on their team. They're going to outlive you in that situation. So try to go the healer if you guys can in that situation. So I generally go precog, try to juke a kick, then I can't get CC'd, and then I throw out all my damage while I'm in my my precog state. So I'll throw Power Infusion, go into Dark Ascension, throw out the Mind Games, throw out the Siphene. That way, in that time frame, I have all my damage out, and now I can control the match. And I always control the Warlocks. Okay? So this is what I run against like hybrid team compositions. Okay? Another thing you guys can do is this build that everyone's running. That's really freaking cheesy. Again, like I tell you guys, I don't like running cheesy things. I don't like running Double Covenant. I've gotten to 2407 with no borrowed power, essentially. A little bit, obviously, I have a legendary, but I'm not running cheesy build. I'm not running 2 Covenants, and I got 2407. So you don't need it. You can run it. You don't need it. But the build that people are running is generally going to be Eternal Rest, Maddening, right? The Maddening to give you chance to proc a Shadow or Death. And then they're running Pain. I don't think they run Encrypted Shadows. I know some people might, but Pain and Death to increase your Shadow or Death damage. The Death Speaker for the proc. And then they are running Death and Madness. And Tith's Evasion. Yeah, Evasion. This is the Shadow or Death build. Obviously, you're going to have to also run the legendary Painbreaker Psalm. So what this does is essentially it gives you a 7-second Shadow or Death. And with Painbreaker Psalm, you get to do a crap ton of damage with every time you have Shadow Word Death up, because it takes 8 seconds of Shadow Word Pain and 8 seconds of VT and death damage. So you essentially do 3 hits at once, plus 25% damage from Pain and Death. And then if you get a proc, right? If you get a proc of Death Speaker, and you have obviously Pain and Death, and you have Painbreaker Psalm, and you have Death and Madness, you essentially can do a huge go and get 2 deaths for all their HP. And it's really cheesy, but it works. It does work. It's really good. I don't like cheesy builds. I know people like Anboni run it, but I don't want to be a cheesy builder. So you can run it, get some good rating, guys. If you guys want to just cheese your way up there. So those are essentially the 3 builds you can run. With this build, I would also recommend possibly going Ancient Madness if you want to go that build, and just drop Damnation and just try to do an all-in cheese. It's up to you, but I like having Damnation. I like having the Mastery. I don't run Void Eruption, so I don't get that Mastery form. But yeah, so those are a couple of builds for you Shadow Priest out there that work really well. You can also run a sustainability build that I would not recommend at all, but you can run a sustain build that is all about living. If you just have no other options, you can go down to how do I get back down there? I haven't ran this build. Oh, you got this, and then I'm trying to figure out the build. Let's see. I think it's this. You're supposed to get 1 in Mind Games. I'm trying to figure out how you do that. Whatever. I don't know. You can run this Shadow Word or this Powered Life build. I'm trying to figure out how people do it and get Mind Games, but I'm not trying to figure that out right now because I don't run it. But you can. I'm sure you guys can figure it out in here how to take a point out. That doesn't really matter. I feel like it's just you lose too much going this route, but you could essentially just run and live the entire time in Solo Shuffle, but you do no damage. I wouldn't do it. So, but yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, it is what it is. But yes, so those are a couple builds, and my recommendation of communication is huge. You guys think it's small. I know it's like obvious, but it means a lot. It really means a lot to communicate, tell who you want to go, point out mistakes that the people are running, and just talk. Just point it out. Just talk to them, and it works a billion times better than just trying to YOLO Solo Shuffle, guys. But other than that, I feel like that's going to help you guys out a lot going into it. Run those builds, run Painbreaker Psalm, and you guys should be fine. If you have any other questions, let me know down below. I would also recommend making a macro for Solo Shuffle for your PIs. So you have this one right here. I just @ somebody with Power Infusion, copy their name inside of Solo Shuffle, give them PI when I do my burst. Easy as that. Other than that, guys, leave a comment. Please leave a like. Come to the stream, twitch.tv/Phobia Gaming. And I hope this guide kind of helped. It wasn't like all in, huge guide. I just want to throw something out there and maybe give you guys some advice on Solo Shuffle and some of the builds that I use. Have a great day.